Hey, good day to you. This is your host, Stan, from the podcast, Talking with Friends. I hope you guys are having a great day. I'm enjoying this weather that I'm seeing. The really, really hot weather is definitely gone. I came outside yesterday to leave out for work, and I noticed, I was like, whoa, the heat is not here anymore. The warmth isn't here anymore. It had a little cold in there, and I couldn't, you really can't deny that fall has set in and we're getting ready to go into the cold months. We stand at the doorway of November, and I'm like, man, we have cut through this year so fast, man. We only have 2 months left, 2.5 months before, this year will be wrapped up. So, it's just something to see that the year has just gone by so fast, and we stand at a very, I often look at it as a very good time. It is challenging now, and I'm pretty sure it's challenging for a lot of my listeners. If you've lost somebody, and this time of the year really magnifies that person's absence, if they passed away and they were very pivotal in your family, my heart and my prayers go out to you in regards to that, because I know what that feels like. I lost my mom. My mom was very pivotal to the holidays, not just Christmas, not just Thanksgiving, but every single holiday that came around. And then there's also my grandfather, also very pivotal to the holidays, because he was always on the scene, because my mother was always, celebrating the holidays and birthdays and stuff like that, and Father's Days and Mother's Days. So, my heart goes out to you if you have lost someone, and that absence of that person is definitely felt during the holidays. So, my heart and my prayers go out to you. A topic came to my mind probably this morning, and I want to always be encouraging on the podcast. But this topic was very near and dear to me. I am a father of one. I have a son, Axel. Axel's my only child. He's 6 years old now. African American son. Very smart, very loving and caring, and inquisitive at the age that he's at. He likes what he likes as of right now, and I guess one of these episodes we'll talk about the transition, because I remember him being up under me all the time, and then when he turned 5.5, 6, right up in that mark, he began to drift off into his own thing, and I was like, wait, Papa's not ready for that. Come back. He was like, no, I want to go do such and such, and I'm like, all right, man, so let me let go. But one thing that came to my mind was breaking generational curses, and as a Black father, I hold that very dear to my heart. I take it very serious. As a lot of you know, maybe some of you don't know, me and his mother are not together anymore. So with that being said, I have to, I'm a father, so I have to navigate this thing and learn this thing as I go. And I'm pretty sure anybody that's listening, most importantly, Black men, Black fathers, that is not it's not an easy journey to take. I was there when he was born, cut the cord and everything, all the nerves that come with that, all of it. I felt it, knew it, recognized it, all of that. But my aim since he came in the world was never to let him feel what I felt. My mother raised me on her own. I mean, there was people around that contributed, but all in all, Mom raised us, all three of us, on her own. So I kind of knew the path, but I didn't know the path. It's kind of like saying, oh yeah, I can drive to Florida, and then taking the drive to Florida is like, oh, I didn't factor in A, B, and C. So it's kind of like that. Navigating this road of being a Black father, and the things that I felt as a young boy, a young black boy, and a young adult, African-American young adult male, and a black man, going into manhood. There was a lot of there was a lot of pockets in my life where, my dad wasn't there. So my thought when Axel came into this world was that he would never have to sit with any questions, any wondering whether, his dad loved him or his dad was going to show up for him. Mind you, in the beginning, you don't really understand what it's going to require, but you learn as you go. My new thing that I do with him now, he's 6 years old and he goes to school now. The new thing that I do is show up at his school. And, I think he knows that I'm coming, but I'm not really sure if he knows that I'm coming. But I show up to his school. And whether I have lunch with me for him, because I know what he likes, or I'll just come and be there with him during the lunch hour or the lunch time that he has. And just, sit, talk with him, laugh with him. 9 times out of 10, he's going to take my phone. But I usually get some time in with him before we do anything like that. I get my time in with him while I'm there with him. And, that is something that I didn't get as a young boy. My mom did the best that she could. She showed up when she could, but I didn't get it from my dad. Let's put it like that. I didn't get it from my pop. So all in all, I knew he loved me, but at the same time, there's a difference when your presence is there. There's a difference when your presence is intentionally there. It's a struggle. It is not easy by far. Something came to me this morning. I remember saying that I was going to be in Axel's life no matter what. And it was like a declaration that I made, but it was like the line was tapped. I had 2 people listening when I said that. I had the King of Kings listening, but then I also had the king of this world listening, our adversary, our enemy. I had those 2 listening. So yes, it's an amazing declaration. Yes, it is an incredible stance to take as being a father, but also know that it's going to accompany some challenges that you wouldn't even think of. Sometimes just getting from my house to his school can be a challenge, but the intentionality that comes with the effort, it ripples through my life, because it's like if you can press to get to him and then get back, most of the time I have to leave from home in the morning, get to his school by like 10 o'clock or 10:15, something like that. Spend the time with him at lunch, and then leave from lunch and then head to work. And most of the time, if I go to work, if I have a span in my schedule where it's like an opening, like tomorrow, I'll shoot up there tomorrow. I have to be to work at 3. So that means that I'll get home kind of late, because my shift is going to be, extended. It's going to be a later shift, being that I start work so late in the afternoon. So I know that what's going to accompany that is I'm probably going to get home and I'm going to be tired when tomorrow is wrapped up, when my work day is over. But being intentional and knowing that this is not only important to him, but it's very important to me. I look at things like a garden. I look at people like a garden. I look at jobs, occupations as a garden. All you got to do is keep planting. Keep planting and keep watering. Keep planting and keep watering. And eventually, there is going to be a harvest that is going to come up. The only thing is, you don't know when that harvest is going to come up. So, when it comes to your children, I could do all of this, and Axel could get to a certain point where he has an attitude towards me and he doesn't want to talk to me. I was talking to a young man yesterday, and he was telling me that he was having, he had a situation that happened with his son, but this weekend that just passed, they kind of reconciled it. But it had some time in between it where, there was some ill feelings that was going on between, his son for him. And, I could easily walk into that arena where I do this on a regular basis, year after year after year after year. I'm showing up for him. I'm doing it. I'm reminding him that I love him, all of these things. And then, we hit a spot where he doesn't want to communicate with Pop. He doesn't want to, come see me. He doesn't want to spend time with me, all of these things. But all in all, planting those seeds and watering those seeds of love, of compassion, of being there, of showing up, eventually there's going to be a harvest that comes up. Now, like I said, we don't know when that's going to happen, especially as parents, because they go through adolescence. And I took a psychology course a couple of years ago, and they were talking about how the human brain works. And this particular chapter that we were studying was adolescence. And what happens when the brain, when the person goes through the puberty stage, and how there's so many things being fired off in the brain that the person, why they respond the way they respond, is because there's so many different things that are going on in the brain at that time. And the outcome is, most of the time, you don't know what you have in your house as far as, is this a child? Is this a teenager? Is this a pre-teenager? What is this? Is this a monster? Because the brain is just receiving so many signals at the time of puberty. And so the outcome is usually like you don't even know what you got as far as your child goes. But I say all that to say that we could easily hit a roadblock where he doesn't remember, the things that I did for him, the showing up, the reminding him that I love him and things like that. But you just gotta wait for that harvest to come up, because those things are seeds of love. The showing up, the reminding them, the caring for them, the compassion, being there for them. Those things are seeds of love, and you just gotta wait for the harvest to come up, and eventually it does. But being a black dad who didn't hear from his father, a reminder that, I love you or something like that on a regular basis, I intentionally do it with my son. I intentionally would just grab him and hug him and remind him that I love him, or tell him while he's playing his game. He might hear me or he might not hear me. He might have his mind on the game, but I make sure intentionally to break generational curses that I've seen in my life as a young boy, where I didn't, hear those things from my dad. But there is a scripture in the Bible, like I told you guys in the past, I'm an ordained elder, so these things kind of spill out of me, and I can't help but see God's word in certain things. There's a scripture in the Bible, if I'm not mistaken, it's Paul the Apostle. And Paul says, it was good that I was afflicted. And I look at the affliction, the pain in my childhood that I had to withstand, that I had to go without, being reminded by my pop that he loved me, or him showing up to my school other than, was to show up because some other reason, but all of those things that I witnessed and felt wholeheartedly, I know what it feels like to not have that. So with that being said, I show up for Axel as much as I can. Like, it is an effort to show up. It's not easy, and I applaud any black father that is doing that for his child, whether it is a son or a daughter. I applaud you for doing that, because it is not easy to get in the pattern of constantly showing up on a regular basis. And I wanted to dedicate this to black fathers, and just encourage you to, if you're already doing it, continue to doing it. Continue to do it. As a black father, I take my hat off to you. I applaud you. I pat you on your back. I say, keep going, bro. Keep doing it, bro, because eventually it's going to pay off. You know what I'm saying? But, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. I always try to remind him that I love him. I wrestle with the fact of being the disciplinary because I'm the dad, and, mom might allow some things, but dad is not going to allow the same thing that mom allows. So I have to push back on certain things that he wants to do, tell him no to certain things that he thinks he's just going to automatically walk into before I screen it or anything like that. And I have to be the one to tell him no. And I wrestle with that because that's my son. I love him and I want him to be good. I want him to be happy. But at the same time, I do understand that I have to be in his life. I have to be so many different things. I have to be loving to him. I have to remind him that I love him. I have to show up, and that's not taking anything from mothers. That's not taking anything from his mother or anything like that. But, and then I got to turn around and be the disciplinary. I have to be the one to say, okay, we got a call from your teacher. So you know how to act. So we're going to have to remove this video game. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have to remove, because he's in the video game. So he has a couple of things as far as video games go, systems that he enjoys. He loves it. And, when he does something that he has no business doing, especially in school, I have to take those things away and just deal with whatever I have to deal with. But it's not easy because you have to be that. You know what I'm saying? I look at the world and I look at, I would rather aim to set structure in my child's life where he knows that there are rules and things that he is not going to do, and things that if he does do them, there's going to be consequences. But I would rather have that structure set up in my home before he goes out into the real world, because the rules outside of the world, if you bend them long enough or if you break them long enough, you're going to find yourself dealing with the consequences. And the consequences are not always mom and papa taking away the video game or, you being restricted from watching your favorite show on TV. No, those consequences are a whole lot more severe. So with that being said, I would rather, it's tough being the dad, but at the same time, I would rather set those rules into play, set that structure into play inside the home that he grows up in, or in the home that he's in the family that he's in, other than him going out into the real world thinking that, he can do whatever he wants to do and there won't be any consequences. So if I can nip that in the bud, then I'm going to nip that in the bud in the house as much as I possibly can. But I just want to encourage any black fathers that are in their child's life and they're feeling the pushback of, is this really even worth it? Is it mattering? Hey, I had that thought a couple of weeks ago, and I had a friend of mine who I was telling it to, and they basically told me, it is. Continue doing it. Pace yourself, but continue doing it. Continue showing up. Continue making the effort, because he's watching. They're watching. I'll tell you something that's magical that is start happening. Like I said, I go down to his school. I try to do it every Tuesday. Sometimes I do it Wednesday. Like this week, I'll do it tomorrow, which is Wednesday. But I usually show up every Tuesday to eat lunch with him. And what begins to happen is, and I can't speak for the boys that are in his class, but I'll begin to see other boys that are in his class begin to drift over to the table that we're eating lunch at. So now I'm looking at, wait a minute, this is just not me showing up for my black son. This is me showing up for them, because now the first time I came, they're looking, they're like, okay, that's Axel's dad. Now, kids don't really know unless you correct them. Little boys calling me by my first name or my first and my last name. And I'm like, because my name is on the badge when I go into the school. So, they're starting to record and remember Axel's dad is showing up to the school. Now, whether the principal, his teacher, the people in the cafeteria, whether they're paying attention or not, I'm beginning to have an effect on other boys, specifically black boys, but there is a few Caucasian boys in his classroom, but I'm beginning to notice that they're beginning to notice that Axel's dad is showing up. Axel's dad, is here, on a regular basis. So this is it's a dual thing going on here. And I'm waiting for God to show me or to give me clarity on what this is. And I don't want to take that on so heavy that I'm not in the moment with Axel, but it's something to see when you begin to show up like that and people start looking and recognizing. And it's a tough thing to know that sometimes school systems and things of that nature, they don't expect to see black dads showing up or black parents in general showing up. So I carry all of that inside my mind when I'm setting my plan to say, hey, I'm going down there to eat lunch with him, because I know that there's so much more attached to me just coming to see my son now. Now it's so much more, you know what I'm saying? It's so much more. And it makes sense that I was afflicted as a child, not having my dad do it, not having my, him show up like that, like my mom periodically did. And I love my mom. Don't get it twisted. Mom did the best that she could, though. But as a black dad, I didn't see that on a regular basis. So just the thought of me today saying I'm going to go see him tomorrow at school and eat lunch with him, there's so much more attached to the thought, the plan, and the pursuit to accomplish what I said I'm going to do as far as going to see him. You know what I'm saying? There's so much more attached to it, and I have no idea what's attached to it, what's going to be the outcome, but I do know that there is so much more attached to it. There is a black dad showing up. Usually, they're not used to seeing it, but I'm doing it also with generational curses, the things that I didn't see. I'm breaking those things. I'm reminding him that I love him. I'm there for him as much as I possibly can. It's shifting something. I really can't see what it is now, and I don't want to judge it prematurely, but it's shifting something. And if you are a black dad and you're listening to this, all in all, I want to encourage you to continue doing it. I don't know your situation. I don't know if you and the mother are getting along, or if that situation didn't even last or anything like that. But I do want to encourage you to continue to go, continue to do, continue to show up. Even if it ain't lunch, even if it's just getting them every other weekend and sharing and creating experiences with them. Continue to do it, continue to do it. Because I know one thing, man, there are times when mom would show up. I can clearly recall field day. When we used to have field day, when we'd be outside and there's so much going on. And I can clearly recall one day, I remember in the morning, mom was like, I'm going to be there. I'm coming. And I was like, okay. And, as a child, you kind of have this grand moment in your head. You're not going to forget it. You just don't forget those things. So as the morning progressed, I remember that she told me that she was coming. And then about 12:15, somewhere around that time, I see her car pull up. And she gets out the car and she's coming towards me, and she has some chicken in her hand. And I was like, bet, we gonna have a ball. And just that moment being so long ago, I think it was like Reneby Wright. So it was like elementary. That sticks out in my head, So I take those things and I say, I'm gonna make these moments with him special while I can, because once they start going into school, it's like time starts going past. Boom, boom, boom. And they got their own friends. They're doing their own thing. And before you know it, they're in junior high. And this thing just moves so quickly. So I want to make sure that me, as his father, as his black father, shows up for him as much as I can, is there with him as much as I can, reminds him that I love him. I asked him the other day, I was like, which one to be when you grow up? And he told me. And I was like, wow, at this age, 6 years old, he knows what he wants to be. And it's, it's just something. And I just want to encourage any dad, any parent, but specifically dads, specifically black fathers, specifically actually any father that has a son, continue to show up. Continue to show up. Like, sometimes you just got to die to your own feelings and just continue to show up for that child. Just be there, show up, remind them that you love them, encourage them. If you're going to have to be the disciplinary, be that, you know what I'm saying? But just continue to show up for your child. It's as tough as it is, as tough as it can be. And sometimes we don't have an outlet as men to talk about how tough it is being in that position, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I applaud you for doing it. I encourage you, if you're not doing it, to start doing it. Just, start it. Start the process, you know what I'm saying? And I just applaud you if you are already doing it, if you're showing up. Continue doing it. Continue showing up. Continue encouraging them. Continue reminding them that you love them. It's not easy, but in the end, like I said in the beginning of this, it's like a garden. The seeds that you plant and water and plant and water and plant, it has no choice but to produce a harvest. Once again, this is your host, Stan, for Talking with Friends, the podcast. Like, share, follow. I want to build a community of not just black fathers, but fathers, mothers, grandmothers, church members, sisters, brothers, just always aiming to encourage you with whatever is discussed on the podcast, whether I have a guest and we're discussing them and their life and their process, or whether it's just me in these little intimate settings where it's just me and my listeners. You guys have a great day, and hope to see you online. Put your comments down in the comment section so that we can know that you're listening, so that we can incorporate some of your views and discuss you guys as well. You guys have a great day.